This video is going to talk to you about your letters of recommendation, who to get them from, and how to make sure that they're really working for you. Hey guys, so today I want to talk to you about those letters of recommendation. And I know they are not some people's favorite topic, but they're actually really important to your application. So I want to walk through some of the basic rules of thumb and then some little tips and tricks for making sure that you get a strong letter of recommendation each and every time. So the first thing is that your letter of recommendation, if you are recently out of college, which is usually 1 to 5 years, you should have at least 1, if not 2, academic letters of recommendation. Certainly, if you're in college and you're applying, let's say you're applying your senior year, you want to have those 2 letters of recommendation. And then maybe if the school allows a third, a mentor, someone from your summer internship, someone that's been, in your life, that's really known you and can speak to your attributes and why you would make a strong law school student. Now, if you're maybe 4 years out, you can probably get by with just 1 academic letter of recommendation. If you have 2 really strong ones, or 1, really strong one from your job and 1 really strong academic letter of reference. If you're more than 5 years out and you're just like, I don't know any of my college professors anymore, I have not spoken to them in 7 years, you'll be fine with getting non-academic letters of reference for most schools. And that's not true for all schools, so you definitely want to check. And those are things that I definitely talk to my students about, the strategies for each school and what they value in letters of recommendations. Now, how do you make sure that you're getting a strong one? Especially if maybe you're 2 years out and you're like, but I just didn't form relationships with my professors. What do? I'm gonna tell you. The first thing you want to make sure, no matter who is doing your letter of recommendation, you want to give them a really strong brag sheet. What's a brag sheet? A brag sheet is kind of like a cheat sheet, like cheat codes for your recommender. You want to talk to them, especially if they're a professor, about any, interactions that they might have had with you in class, outside of class. Maybe, they were an advisor to you, or maybe you stopped by office hours a lot. You want to remind them about some of those key moments so they can be like, oh, she was that girl. I remember her. Sometimes professors don't remember names too well, but they do remember memories and they remember meaningful moments. So another thing is you want to include, what classes you took. Maybe you want to include the grade that you got, but sometimes your best letters of rec don't come from the person who got the best grade in. Sometimes they come from the person who you formed the strongest relationship with, and maybe that person watched you persevere. You went from a C to a B, but they really value your work ethic and your determination and your spirit and your drive, and that is what you want them to write in your letter. Maybe you got an A in a class, but you never really connected with the professor. Just because you got an A does not mean they're going to write you a good letter. You also want to talk to them about some of the things that they may not know, like the things that you did at school or university. If it's a work letter, you want to talk to them also about the things that you do. Maybe you volunteer in your free time, or you're on some boards. Maybe you've taken on extra projects for other team members or other partners in an organization, and you want to let them know kind of what those what those moments are and what those other activities are, so that they're not just looking at what they know, but they say, wow, she did all this work for me and she was doing this other stuff. That really just raises her esteem in my eyes. So what else do you want to include? Well, you want to include why you want to go to law school. You want them to be part of your team. You want them to believe in the dream. They can't believe in the dream if they don't know why it's the dream. So you have to talk to them about, these are the reasons why I want to go to law school. This is how all the thoughts connect for me. That will really help them when they're crafting their letters. And you want to tell them what schools you're applying to. Maybe you don't fully know that yet. That's okay. You want to give them kind of a sense of, these are the type of schools that I'm applying to. And also when you're applying. Don't assume that they know the law school application timeline, because they probably don't. you want to make sure that you give all of your, recommenders at least a month to do it. Now, pro tip, if you are trying to get your applications in October 1, you want to tell your recommenders that you want your letters in by September 1. Why? Because delays happen all the time. So you want to make sure that if you really want your applications in October 1, you're not telling your recommenders, please get me your letters by October 1, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have all your letters in time, or there's going to be some sort of delay with the LSAC, or, something is just going to happen. And you don't want your application to be held up because you're waiting for letters. That's really stressful. And also it can get really awkward because then you're like, hey, have you written it yet? And then you're just kind of waiting, and then you're like, should I email them again? Should I call them? Should I do a drive-by? You should not do a drive-by. But you do want to give yourself time. If you tell your recommender September 1, that gives them a whole month to be late. And you are not stressed during that month. Obviously, I hope that no one's late. But, you want to plan for the worst. Hope for the best, but plan for the worst. So, on top of telling them when you would like their letters in, and where you want to go to school, and why you want to go to law school, and any of those meaningful events that have taken place, you want to tell them, just generally, again, what your academic interests are, which might be slightly different from why you want to go to law school. Remind them, hey, even though I took your anthropology class, I actually spent most of my time in college, doing research in the sociology department or the psychology department. This is what I really focused my time on. Those are the things that kind of really bring it together. And then you also want to highlight the values and the parts of your character that you think are very important. So perhaps you say, these are the 3 things. I am determined, I am a hard worker, and I am compassionate. And you're going to give them 3 examples. Well, not 3 of each. 1 example of each. You just want to help them have some material. Now, I know you're probably like, this is a lot. And I'm supposed to do this with every single person? You don't have to. But I think that giving your recommenders more information is always better than not giving them enough. They can choose to not use any of it. I mean, some recommenders know you so well that they don't really need any of that. But I promise you, even someone who knows you really well will appreciate all the time that you took to make sure that they felt prepared and comfortable. It can be a really big deal to write someone's letter of recommendation. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. I've had to write some myself, and I can tell you that I always appreciate it when people, provide me information to make sure that I'm hitting all the points that they want me to hit. Because I could think that I know what they want me to say, but there's always that little bit of doubt, like, man, I hope this is what she wants. When you give your recommenders that information, it just helps put everyone at ease, and it makes the process that much smoother. And a happy recommender is a happy letter. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it shed some clarity on how you can go about getting great letters of recommendations. If you're looking for more law school tips in the application process, feel free to check out my website and my blog, subscribe to my newsletter, and of course, subscribe to this channel for more videos. I'll talk to you next time.